Welcome everyone once again. Thank you very much for joining this live session. Really do appreciate everyone for joining, and we don't take this for granted. Today we have one interesting topic that it's just came out now, like the article, the newsletter article, which we are going to be reviewing today. It just came out today, the 5th of July 2025. And I thought it was very crucial for us to actually have to discuss about it today. So I brought it up to have a kind of conversation with other immigrants, those that are in Canada and those that are not yet in Canada. I feel it's quite important we learn about what is going on in Canada today. And for that, we actually have this live session to talk about what are your immigration options. If you're asking yourself, what are my immigration options? Especially now that the PEQ, which is the Quebec Experience Program, the PEQ is now closed. For those that are just joining, you know that most times we always go on cicnews.com website, which is the Canadian Immigration and Citizenship website. We go there to read some articles out for ourselves and to educate ourselves on what we need to know about Canada immigration. So today is not going to be different. Today we are going to be taking up this conversation and we'll be making use of the article to discuss what we have today. So for those that are just joining us, welcome once again. We are live on Instagram, on TikTok, and we're also on YouTube. So anywhere you are joining us from, you can just let us know your name and your location. You can converse with us, like, share, and also subscribe to our channel, follow our channel to learn more about immigration and how it actually affects you or how you also can work on your immigration. Now, on the client aspect, many of our clients have been asking that, okay, now for the June 30, for the Quebec Skilled Worker Program, which is the Quebec Regular Skilled Worker Program, they stated last year that they would get started with the program from this June 30, 2025. And we have been expecting some draws to actually come up. We have been expecting Quebec to invite some people. Okay, Dauda, thank you very much. Dauda is from Ibadan, Nigeria. Thank you very much for joining us on Instagram. For every other person, if you are joining us, let us know where you are joining us from. Let us know your location. Let us know your name. I, for instance, okay, I didn't even talk about myself. I was meant to say my own too. So I am Mr. Aziz from Ontario, Canada. You understand? From Ontario, Canada. I'm currently right now at Ontario, Canada. So let us know where you are joining us from, your name, and where you are joining us from. Today's topic is quite a sensitive one, and it is a topic that I feel, something about life is change is inevitable. Do you understand? Change is inevitable. You can't actually predict change. And if you can't predict change, when it comes, all you just need to do is to adapt to the change. Do you understand? Okay, welcome, Mrs. Oladile Fumilola from Ogun State, Nigeria. Good evening, ma. So, adapt to change so that at the end of the day, when that change later comes up, when that change later happens, it will benefit you and it will not be against you. I'll give a kind of short synopsis of my own immigration pathway. Many of you may already know that I would always say that I started my own immigration in the year 2018. Do you understand? And 2018, I was not really serious with immigration, just like some of our clients, some of our well-wishers, some of the people that would come as our followers and subscribers. They will not be serious with immigration. Like, okay, it's a nice thing. It's a nice thing to also immigrate to Japan, you understand, to leave Nigeria, to go to Canada. Just like that. 2018 was that year for me. I didn't really take it serious. I wrote my first exam, my first IELTS examination for permanent residence for immigration. I had the best score, so I didn't really take it serious. I said, I can work on immigration later. So at the end of the day, I left. You understand? I didn't really take immigration serious. I didn't process it that time. But 2018 was much more easier. Was a year that was easier for me. Let's say I had worked on my immigration that year. It could have been much more easier for me to have come into Canada that year, you understand, than the following or the subsequent years. But what am I saying is that 2018 was, in fact, one of my family member or let me say, one of my extended relatives. You understand, like my uncle. He came into Canada that year with his wife and 3 kids. You understand? And they came in as visitors. They didn't even come in as permanent residents, like how I was pursuing to come into Canada. They came in as visitors, and before you know it, in the year 2019 or I think 2020, they sought their asylum, and before you knew it, they became permanent residents easily. So that's why the man always tell me that he doesn't even know anything about ELTS. His family didn't go through any of those ELTS, any of those, you understand, going to go and submit credentials for A.O.S, for educational credential assessment. You understand? They didn't know all those things that time. And I was just thinking to myself one time that, let's say that 2018, instead of me going to go and do ELTS, instead of me, you understand, spending money to go back home to, you understand, do some passport and what they call it, some documentations like my transcript and everything in Ilorin Kwara State, Nigeria, I could have easily have worked on what? I could have easily have worked on visitor visa and come in through visitor visa. Do you understand? Because that time it was easier to come into it. But why am I saying this now? Why I'm saying this is because sometimes some pathways may be easier than the others. You understand? Sometimes the change, like there was a change in the visitor visa to asylum. Even though last year and previous year people were doing it, but it was taking longer time. That of my own uncle, it didn't really take much time. Do you understand? It didn't really take much time. Before you knew it, he was already in Canada. He came in with his family, like with his entire family members. Do you understand? And it was a smooth sailing for him. But when I was to come into Canada after he came into Canada, it was not all that rosy for me. Do you understand? Permanent residence, especially through the express entry, was more competitive. I wasn't qualified for permanent residence through what? Through the express entry pathway. So because of that, I had to go through the provincial nominee pathway. Do you understand? The provincial nominee pathway. But now, even some of our clients, we are telling them that even Quebec, as of last year, they stopped inviting people, and this year they have not even started inviting. So now you may be also asking yourself right now, if you are part of our clients, or if you are also looking at the trends of what is happening in Canada, that okay, now that Quebec is not picking people, now that people are not being able to, are not allowed or are not invited to come into Canada through the Quebec Experience Class Program, or the Quebec what they call it now, the Quebec Experience Program. Which other programs, which other pathways can you use to come into Canada? Because change is inevitable, as I've said. But how did I make use of the change that benefited me? Instead of me nagging that, oh, express entry is too competitive, oh, visitor visa cannot work, this thing cannot, all what I just looked at is which other pathways can I come into Canada through? Which other pathways do I have the funding? Which other pathways do I have the expertise? Which other pathways do I have the knowledge? Which other pathways can I easily walk towards to come into Canada? And I think that's the essence of the conversation today. If one pathway is not working, what else can you do? And something about Canada is Canada has a lot of ways to come into Canada. The only thing is you may not have the right information, or you may not have the right assistance or support for you. And that is where, again, we and our immigration partners come in. We have partnered with consultants and with lawyers to assist you with it. And we also can also help you in other, you understand, travel related services that you want, you understand, us to do. So if you want more information about what we can do for you, just go on our profile, click on the link aos.nim.ng, our website, to learn more about what we can do for you. But let's now go into the article. Let's read the article in depthly to understand what are your immigration options now that the Quebec Experience Program is closed, right? Now, some people may even be wondering that what's the Quebec Experience Program? We will explain what it is, but let's talk about the blogger Ashesh Musapeta. He was the one that wrote this article. He published it July 5th, 2025, which is today, at least in Canada, in Ontario, Canada, Eastern Standard Time. And he published it on cicnews.com website, which is the Canadian Immigration and Citizenship news website. So this is a website that is by those in Canada, those that are lawyers, those are consultants. So basically, it's an authentic website that you also can also use to be getting updates and to be getting news articles about what is happening in Canada. You understand? Sometimes I don't like to just add or use my own article or my own newsletter, you understand, to discuss with you so that you can see what are the experts saying, what are people that are in Canada, people that are basically bringing people in or people that are in charge of assisting people to come into Canada. What are they saying about, you understand, immigration? So today, I want to focus on their own conversation. Now, Ashish Masapeta said foreign nationals who may have lost their chance to immigrate to Canada through the Quebec Experience Program are not without other immigration options. So what they are saying is that you still have other immigration options. If, for instance, you were targeting Quebec Experience Program, it didn't work for you, no problem. Just like I was targeting Express Entry, it didn't work for me, no problem. Instead of you to nag, there are some people, for instance, I remember when I started my own immigration, it took me about 1 year before I realized that, oh, the NOC code, which is the occupation classification code, like basically the profession that I selected to use to come into Canada was not in demand. And because it was not in demand, they were not picking me. I said I was a language teacher, which of course I am still a language teacher, but they were not picking me because what they needed at that particular time was not language teachers. You understand? Rather, what they were looking were IT professionals. So, and I had experience with IT professionals, even though it was not as much as language teacher experience. So all I just had to do was align my own profession to what Canada was needing at that particular time. So again, that boils down to the fact that if one program is not working, instead of you complaining about that program not working, instead of you understand, being vexed with Canada, what you just need to do is look for another program, you understand, look for other things that can actually help you to come into Canada and use it practically to come into Canada, you understand, easily with your family or even to come to Canada alone. Now, let's now look at it. They said on 5th of June, Quebec's immigration authority suspended the PEQ worker stream pathway to permanent residency PR until November 30, 2025. Now, let's look at this. If you look at Quebec has been suspending programs. They will suspend the program and they will say it will reopen at a later date, just like what they did for the Quebec Regular Skilled Worker Program. That Quebec Regular Skilled Worker Program is the program that brings in foreign nationals. You understand? It's the program that brings in immigrants that are still in their home country to Canada, you understand, to apply for permanent residence. I remember when I worked on my own permanent residency in the year 2022, you understand, Quebec picked me. They picked me through the Quebec Skilled Worker Program, the RSWP program, you understand, which they suspended December 2024, and they said it's going to restart this June 30, 2025. Now, from this June 30, 2025, we have not seen them pick anybody, and we have been waiting, you understand, on that. Likewise, this June 5th, last month, that's, you understand, roughly last month, this time last month, they stopped the Quebec Experience Program. And they said until November 30, 2025. Now let's look at it. They said foreign nationals who have not yet applied through the PEQ will need to pursue other pathways to permanent residence. I remember one of our clients, you understand, one of our clients, Mr. Ben, he has been selected for Quebec immigration. In fact, he's still working on his Quebec immigration right now, you understand, before they suspended the program. And thankfully, because they suspended it after he applied, he's not affected basically by it. His application is still continuing, and by God's grace, we still expect him, his wife, and his kid to be in Canada very soon. Now, okay, Dauda Ogunjobi is asking, bro, there is one WhatsApp number I saw on your Telegram. Is it your legit consultation number? Well, I'm looking at the number. I'm trying to remember the number now. I don't know, but let me just put it like this. Any number that you see online, it may or may not be legit or be a legal consultation. How to get a legal consultation number is to go on our website, you understand, aos.name.ng, or perhaps just send us a DM. You understand? If you send us a DM on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, we are going to forward you the exact link for you to go have a consultation with us. Do you understand? So the right link will be sent to you. You would see where to book a consultation on our website. You see every information you need there, and I think that will be the legit consultation number or the consultation platform to use. Do you understand? But Telegram, yes, we're on Telegram as well, and you can always talk to us on Telegram, even though we are not always active there. So okay, Dauda Ogunjobi is saying, please, I want you to be the one to attend to me on my consultation day. Of course, no problem. If you want us to consult, just put it there that you want me to talk to you. And once you book a consultation, you can actually select a day, you understand, go through the process, and you talk out, we'll be able to talk to you, you understand. If you want me to be part or be the one that would talk to you, you understand, just request it there, and that should be granted. They'll just look at my availability. Yeah, it's automated, so you just see my availability, the timings I'm available, the days and the date, and you'll be able to select. You understand, the ones that you want. Okay, let's move on. We were talking about the article. The article, what are my immigration options since Quebec Experience Program has been closed? Now, I said this article will cover different provincial and federal immigration options that skilled workers and international graduates might consider. Now, I want you to note something. When it comes to immigration, I've said it before, but I'm just reiterating it again, that there are various pathways. There are various pathways you can use to come into Canada. Now, people need to understand that most times one pathway may not be enough for you to immigrate to Canada. Do you understand? Express entry that I focused on the first year that I worked on my own immigration was not the program I later used to come into Canada. But after that 1 year of wasting time, you understand, the next year, what I did was to focus on 2, 3, 4 different programs at a time. I remember, as I do say, I applied to Prince Edward Island's PNP, Provincial Nominee Program. I applied to Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program under the Express Entry. I applied to Quebec Skilled Worker Immigration Program, and even Saskatchewan Immigration Program. You understand? So it was about 4 different programs I applied to. Out of the 4 programs, 2 didn't pick me, 2 selected me. You understand? And out of the 2 that selected me, which was Ontario and Quebec, because of course Ontario is the major capital, is where things are happening. You understand? I didn't go to Quebec, I came to Ontario. So I want you to also have it at the back of your mind. Instead of you focusing on just one program, one pathway, always have an array of pathways, because you are not going to be held responsible, or you understand, victimized for choosing a lot of programs. You understand? They won't be vexed for you that, okay, why did you apply to different programs? You understand? Especially when you are still at the stage of submitting a profile. If you are at the stage of submitting the expression of interest profile, the EOI profile, you understand? You don't need to pay, it's free. You understand? So since it is free to create a profile, why don't you create as many profiles as possible on a lot of programs? So anyone that now selects you, you can now focus on that one to, you understand, actually now send a full application for your permanent residence. And that's exactly what I did, and that's what we always tell people, because you are not going to be penalized. There is no issues with you submitting variety of profiles. You understand? So out of the variety of profiles, anyone that now selects you, you just go through that particular one. Okay, so that's just an aside. Let's move on. Now, immigrating to settle in Quebec. Quebec is a province, because some people always look at Quebec, Quebec, Quebec. They think maybe Quebec is outside Canada. No, Quebec is a province inside Canada. You understand? For those that know the provinces in Canada, there are a lot. From Alberta, from Manitoba, from Nova Scotia, from Newfoundland and Labrador, to New Brunswick, to Ontario, to Prince Edward Island, to Quebec, to Saskatchewan, you understand, to the Northern Territories and Yukon. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So there are a lot, Nunavut too is part of it. There are a lot of provinces and territories. Quebec is part of it. Quebec is just that it is the major province where what they call it, French is spoken. It is the major province French is spoken. So That's just the difference. But Ontario is the major province where, in fact, everywhere in all the provinces, English is spoken. But people know Ontario more because it is the capital. It is where many immigrants want to come. But Quebec is also a province in Canada. So if you are now considering immigrating to Quebec, foreign nationals, when they call someone foreign nationals, that means those that come from other countries into Canada, or those that want to immigrate from other countries into Canada, right? Now, foreign nationals intending to settle in Quebec, if you have the intention to be in Quebec, you can pursue your permanent residency, your PR, through the Quebec's Skilled Workers Selection Program, the PSTQ. Now, this is a program that was later added or later revised. The program that I said selected me was the Quebec Skilled Worker Pilot Program, the Quebec Regular Skilled Worker Program, the RSWP. But the RSWP has now been revised to the Quebec Skilled Worker Selection Program, which is the PSTQ. Now, this PSTQ is divided into four streams. These streams were not available when they selected us to come. Even as of last year, one of our clients, like Mr. Ben, I talked about, that got selected through Quebec, he wasn't selected through any of these streams because these streams were not available during his own time. Now, what are the streams? Stream 1, the highly qualified and specialized skills. Those are people that have a lot of things to show for their immigration. They are very skilled. They have years of education, of studies. They have years of experience. You understand? And they are under the occupations FEER, which is the tier system, 0, 1, or 2. That means basically those are people that are either at the managerial role, you understand, for this tier 0, those that have at least a bachelor's degree in tier 1, and those that have at least a college diploma in tier 2. Do you understand? Now, work experience, they have at least 1 year of work experience within the past 5 years. And French, now this is where many people actually go back, because Quebec is a province that requires, you understand, the province that requires someone to learn French. So you need to learn French. Oh, okay. Rebel is saying nobody did here. You just they talk to yourself. Thank you for noticing that. That's on TikTok. Some people are coming on and going off. Yeah, but we also have people on Instagram that are listening in. We also have people on YouTube that are listening. If they are not listening in on TikTok, no problem. We also have other channels. That's why we don't come on just one channel. We come on various channels. Do you understand? So if one channel doesn't have a lot of viewers, or do you understand, those that are coming on live, there are other people on other social media platforms that are also joining in. But thank you for the observation. Now let's move on. So if you're under the first stream, the stream 1, which is the highly qualified and specialized skills, you need to have oral competence of French. And the oral competence of French, that means in the compréhension orale and expression orale, you need to have NCLC numéro 7, which is the NCLC level of 7+. And for the written, which is the expression écrite and the compréhension écrite, you need NCLC numéro 5+. You need the NCLC levels 5+. Now, there's something they added into the Quebec that many people now are going to find boggling, because before, in the Quebec Skilled Worker Program, the regular Skilled Worker Program, it was just one person that needed to show French knowledge. You understand, French expertise. But now they have added the spouse. They said, yes, your spouse needs to also speak French and need to have at least spoken French of NCLC numéro 4+. That is the NCLC level 4+. Now, this was not in the regular skilled worker program, where they will require that if you are coming with your partner has to also speak French. Before, it was just one person, and that's why people like Mr. Ben was lucky when they selected him last year. You understand? He was the only one that knew French. In fact, even though his wife later started learning French, that okay, since we are coming to Quebec, let's now see what we can learn, that kind of thing. But he was the only one that did the exam. You understand, the TEF, or is it the TCF Canada exam? He was the only one that had his results. But now they are requiring the 2 spouses, except if you don't want to come with your spouse, except if you are coming alone into the province of Quebec, that's when you may not need it. So the stream 1 required qualifying 1-year diploma. At least the more you have, the better. If you have more than 1-year diploma, the better for you. Do you understand? And other requirements are not applicable. Now, for the stream 2, under still the Quebec Skilled Worker Selection Program, the new PSTQ. For the stream 2, you have intermediate and manual skills. Now, let's kind of give a differentiation between the highly qualified and specialized skills and the intermediate and manual skills. When we are talking about the highly qualified and specialized skills, these are people that are lawyers, doctors, accountants. You understand? People that went to university basically, or colleges, and they have something to show for it in terms of their credential, of course. Now, the stream 2, intermediate and manual skills. When they're talking about the manual skills, okay, let me just give a differentiation with the stream 1. So the highly qualified and specialized skills can still be people that, like accountants, all these people that may not really necessarily need a license to practice. You understand? You don't really need a license because there's another stream for that, which are the regulated professions. The highly skilled, special, like I too, I'm still part of, they will still categorize me because my tier system falls under tier 1. So for instance, I studied linguistics. I'm a language teacher, or they will say in Canada, a language tutor. Do you understand? Because I don't have the license to practice as a teacher. And basically, as a language tutor, I don't really need the license to practice as a language teacher, especially if I'm not going to school or I'm not going to teach in the secondary schools or in the primary schools or even in the university level. So I don't need it. If I'm to teach online like I'm currently doing, I don't need to actually get the license. Do you understand? So just let's note that the stream 2 are the intermediate and manual skills. Those that have skills that range in doing handiwork. Do you understand? That is the tier category 3, 4, or 5. You are very skilled in handiwork. Maybe you're a mechanic, you're a plumber, you're an electrician. You understand? You're a chef, a cook, things like that. Those are the intermediate and manual skills. And you need at least 2 years of paid work experience in the last 5 years for that. Your spoken level. Now, this is where many people always want to, they don't really require a lot of knowledge in French. So can I come in as this? And I say yes, because this is where some of our clients are actually studying French right now to fall into that. Spoken level French, instead of the spoken level French of 7 that is required for express entry, for PMPs, for even the stream 1, which is the highly qualified skills. Many people can still fall under this stream 2, you understand, which requires spoken level French of 5. Thank you very much, Kids Affordable Wears in Lagos. I really see your likes on TikTok. Okay, now we're having some people on TikTok right now. Thank you for those likes. Now, so what I'm saying is, the requirements for French is kind of reduced for the applicants, the principal applicants. But for the spouse, which is the secondary applicant, they say spoken level French of 4 is required for that. Now, qualifying degree, if you have any qualifying degree, and sometimes it may not even be degree, maybe diploma, maybe certificate, anything that is, when they say qualifying, something that you have to actually have in order to be able to work in that niche. If you're an electrician, you have to have skills in electrical engineering to be able to work in that niche. Do you understand? Now, let's now go to the stream 3. The stream 3 is for the regulated professions, those that really require a license or a registration with one someone just joined on TikTok. I don't know. Just saying some people. How can I cancel this now? July Jamboree. I don't even understand. Okay, so what I'm saying is this. For the regulated professions, these are professionals like physicians, you understand, family doctors, like lawyers, those that require licenses to practice, registrations to practice in Canada. You understand? And they must be listed on the Quebec's official list of regulated professions. So they must actually work with maybe like some colleges, some associations or societies to get their license. Do you understand? And for their years of experience, it's not applicable in this sense, but it depends on the tier level of occupation, which what they call it, French level they will have, if it is level 4, level 5, or level 7, and not applicable if they must be authorized to practice their occupation in Quebec if they want to fall under the regulated professions, right? Now, the last stream is the stream four. These are the exceptional talents. Exceptional talents are for those who want to come into Canada, do you understand? And who show exceptional expertise in their main occupation. Do you understand? In their main, okay, Ayok told me day 10 wants to join us on TikTok, on Instagram rather. I hope she's able to join. So, for the exceptional talent, they say you must have at least 3 years of work experience in the last 5 years. And for the French, not applicable, but you must be accompanied by Quebec standards, or you must be endorsed by a ministerial partner to be able to come into Canada and to work under exceptional talent. Now, okay, I was talking about the tier system. The tier, which is what we know as the FIE system in Canada or in Quebec, is the French language terminology for the training, education, experience, and responsibility. The tier system, you understand, in Canada, which they call the entraînement, éducation, experience, responsibility, you understand, and things like that. So for the tier system, this is used, for many of you that may not know it, it is the system that is used to categorize jobs by the level of experience, education, and training required to perform, you understand, the role. And they said this scale is contained within the Canada's National Occupation Classification, the NOC system, either the tier or the fee. 0 jobs, which is required for the most preparation, while the tier or the 0-5 jobs require the least. When we're talking about the tier 5, these are people that they don't even need any certification, they don't need any education. They can just come in and, you understand, just do on-the-job training and start working. You understand? When they get employed, they will be training with the employer once they get employed. So basically, if you are not qualified for the Quebec Experience Program, the next program you can qualify for are the ones we just mentioned, which is under the Quebec Skilled Workers Selection Program, and just 4 streams. You can go on the website and learn more about the 4 streams and see if you are actually qualified. Now, all Quebec immigration streams require candidates to sign a provincial values attestation. Now, this is very important. This is a new thing in Quebec. We didn't have this, especially when I was working on my own Quebec, or when we were still sending profiles for Quebec immigration. They didn't have the signing of the provincial values attestation. And that was like a kind of test of your French knowledge. It was also a test of you understand, values as regards to Quebec immigration. If you would really stay in the province, you understand what you need to know about the province, things like that. They tested, like Mr. Ben and his wife, they tested them on the provincial values attestation in the French language. And that's why we're telling many people that now, if you really want to work on immigration, don't just say, yes, you want to come into Canada and leave it to an agent or leave it to some. You also have to be involved, because it is you that will take the test. It is you that will be in front of the officer. It is you that sometimes they even have to call. Sometimes they have to talk to someone. You understand? Thank you very much. I see Uncle Henry, you sent me heart. Me really appreciate that on TikTok. Thanks. I see a lot of my gifters already. So you have to be involved in your immigration. Don't just leave it to someone that, oh, okay, because I've paid this person, or because this person will help me, then you are not, you understand, involved again. It doesn't work that way. That person, you too also have to show that you are responsible, or you are willing to actually work on your own immigration. Do you understand? Because at the end of the day, it is you that will get the visa. It is not the person that is actually helping you to do it. So basically, this attestation is one thing that if you are going into Quebec, you have to actually get the attestation letter. And how will you get the attestation? You have to take a test. You have to pass the test. If you not pass the test, go on safe. If you have all the credentials, they send it to Mr. Ben and his family, his wife. You will not come to Canada. You will not go to Quebec through it. So it is something serious. So if you are open to settling outside of Quebec, now we have talked about Quebec in details. If, for instance, you say, oh, Quebec is a French-speaking country, I don't want to go to Quebec. Oh, I would rather go to somewhere that speaks English, or let's see other options apart from Quebec. If there are still a lot of options. Do you understand? So if you are not open to settling in Quebec, if you want to settle outside of Quebec, there are also some additional permanent residence pathways to consider. Do you understand? Now, these are the pathways available to both French speakers and English speakers settling outside of Quebec. If, for instance, you want to come into other provinces apart from Quebec, do you understand? You need to look at these pathways. Now, number one pathway is the Canadian Experience Class pathway, the CEC pathway. Now, this pathway is the pathway that requires you to have 1 year of skilled Canadian work experience. That is if you are already in Canada. Maybe, for instance, you came into Canada as a student, you understand, you studied, you later got your postgraduate work permit, you worked for 1 year. After that 1 year, you become automatically qualified for the Canadian Experience Class, especially once you have done your IELTS or your self-paper, your PT, or your TF Canada or TCF Canada, you understand, and you have gotten the minimum language proficiency requirements, which is the CLB or the NCLC 7 or the CLB or NCLC 5. Some people always wonder, maybe I'm coming, like someone was asking me in a consultation lately that, once I come into Canada, because the person is working on study permit already with another agent, and the person was asking, I'm coming into Canada to study. You understand? After my studies, maybe I will become PR. And it was quite funny because sometimes people have half information. You understand? Half information about, like, for instance, some agents will tell you, just come into Canada. When you come into Canada, when you get into Canada as a visitor or a student, you figure it out when you come. And I was just laughing that, okay, don't worry. It's when you come and you realize. We have had people that we have talked about, students that we have talked about on this channel that came into Canada. In fact, there's one of my friends that just finished his 2-year program after paying about 32,000 Canadian dollars. Do you understand? To study. Now he's pursuing his PR. And the same thing he ran away from, which is the IELTS, the French speaking, French learning. The same thing he ran away from. You understand? Last 2 years that, they say people fail IELTS. I don't want to do it. They say this. He's still coming back to do it now. You understand? Because it's part of the requirement. And it is a must. It is not optional. It is a must. The fact that you finished the school, you understand? The fact that you finished the school in Canada does not mean that that you are not going to You are not going to get, because permanent residence is another visa entirely. Study permit is another visa entirely. Like, study permit is under what we know as the temporary resident visas. You understand? The temporary residence visas, TRVs, because of course, when you come into Canada with study permits, they will give you the temporary residence visa, telling you that, okay, you have come into Canada this year, or maybe like for my friend that came into Canada 2023, you understand, just like when I came, they would always put it that, okay, your TRV, which is the temporary resident visa, will last from this year to maybe 2024, or last from 2023 to 2025. You understand? Because they know that it is a temporary, you are just to stay here for some time. Do you understand? You have to stay here for some time. You are not yet permanently yet. What makes you become a permanent resident is the permanent residence visa. Anything apart from that is not permanent residence. Even refugee said it's not permanent residence until they approve you. It is if they not approve you with refugee, if it is rejected, you get deported back to your country. Even after staying here, we have seen people that have stayed here for 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, still being deported back, and you'll be wondering that this person that have stayed here for so long, why is this person? You understand? So it is not how far. Most times it is how well. It is not how far, but how well. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Okay. So moving on, we are talking about the Canadian Experience Class. Okay, I talked about that is for those that have been in Canada and have gotten at least 1 year of experience working for a Canadian company. You understand? But they don't need a job offer. You understand? And other key eligibility doesn't apply. Now, number 2, under the express entry is those who are going to apply under the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the FSWP. This was the program I didn't qualify for when I started working on my immigration. Because yes, minimum it requires 1 year of work experience. CLB, NCLC of IELTS is 7 at least, and it doesn't require a job offer, but you must have accrued 67 points on the selection grid. Now, it was not It's not that I didn't even accrue that 67 points. It was not that I didn't have more than even 1 year work experience. It's not that I didn't even have more than the CLB 7, but it was so competitive because where you had 7, another person had band 9. You understand? CLB 9. They will first pick that person because they are picking the highest ranked, you understand, immigrant. They will first pick that person first before they pick you. Do you understand? So it is not just about you having the minimum and being enough with the minimum. You need more. Do you understand? More to actually show that you have, you understand what it takes to come into Canada through that particular pathway. So let's move on. The Federal Skilled Trades Program. Now, it's this, the Federal Skilled Worker Program is those that are workers, those that are professionals. But when it comes to the Federal Skilled Trades, if you look at the word trades program, it's for those that have handiwork, as I said before, like the mechanics, the plumbers, the technicians, you understand, people like that. They need to have had at least 2 years of work experience in an eligible NOC. You understand? And they have to have their CLB or NCLC 4 or 5. That one is cheap, it's easier. You understand? It's easier to qualify for. But the issue now is many of it requires you to have job offer. You understand? But though they say job offer may be substituted with a certificate of qualification. And how will you get certificate of qualification in Canada? You can get certificate of qualification either through apprenticeship or through training under, you understand, apprenticeship programs. And there are some ways that you go about it, which again, most of them still require you to be in Canada. So if you don't have a job offer from Canada, you may need to be in Canada first before you can actually be eligible for that. Do you understand? Now, a lot of people have been reaching out to us about, the rural area. I see a lot of things on social media. Social media have been saying, okay, some people have been telling me that I can come into Canada through rural area. I don't need to go through express entry. I don't need to do this. I don't need to. And I say, yes, it's correct. But most times, something we have found out online is that people will give you half information. And that half information, you don't know more about what they are saying. Once you have heard that half information, that is what you are just going to hold on to. You understand? That's what you hold on to. You will not focus on any other thing. You will just hold on to that. Do you understand? It's not that rural immigration is not available. It is available, but you need to know the full requirement. Don't just listen to, they say online that you don't need IELTS, or maybe they say it's just low IELTS. If you have band 4, you are okay. If you have those things are right. It's not that I'm saying it's wrong. It's correct, but they are just giving you one requirement out of the other requirements. At the end of the day, you not come in, it will not look as if maybe someone doesn't want you to come into Canada. Maybe someone is not informed about what is happening in Canada. Check and this thing is very easy. Internet is your friend. Google is your friend. You can go online. You understand? You can go online and see for yourself what exactly does a province need, or what exactly does a rural community immigration, like in this situation now, the program we're talking about is the Rural Community Immigration Pilot. This is a program that a lot of people have been talking about. You understand? But they will talk about it and they will leave the crucial aspect out of it. So let's talk about the crucial aspect. They say you just need 1 year of work experience to qualify for Rural Community Immigration Pilot Program. 2, your CRS, your CLB or your NCLC is dependent on the level of job offer you get. So if you get a job offer that is professional, you may need maybe band 6. If you get a job offer that's maybe like handiwork, like technician, or you understand, plumber, or that, maybe band 5, you understand. But the major thing is you need a job offer. You understand? You need a job offer. And that is where a lot of people will not qualify, because to get job offers in Canada is not. In fact, someone was telling me that they applied to hundreds of jobs. You understand? They have bought a lot of things about applying for jobs online. They have done a lot of things, connected, networked, you understand? And 8 months down the line, they have just gotten like 2 interviews. I say you should even be congratulating yourself that you even got interviews. At least someone is willing to listen to you and to, you understand, talk to you after 8 months of, you understand, applying on your own. That shows that you are doing something right. Do you understand? And the person was even with the interviews, they are still telling me that come to Canada first. When you come into Canada, your experience is okay, you have good, because you have to understand something. An employer, especially when there are a lot of people in Canada that can do that same job, or a lot of people that are coming into Canada that they can later employ, you have to understand something without them paying for relocation, because people always look for job sponsorship. But you have to realize it that job sponsorship, it's not that it's not available, it's available, but the truth is the company that wants to sponsor you, that wants to give you that job sponsorship, will be asking him or herself that, okay, if I want to employ this person, if I put this person in the job, how, like, there's have to be a return on investment, because they are going to be investing in you. Firstly, you have to understand they will pay the Canadian government at least 1,000 Canadian dollars for LMIA, the Labor Market Impact Assessment Report. Now, apart from that, they will still pay on the recruiters, because normally, lawfully, an employer must not ask you for money for a job. It is that employer that must pay the recruiter that will recruit you. Okay, if for instance you didn't come through recruiter, you came through their website, you went on their website, their company website, they will still pay the HR that will be in charge of, you understand, running your training, running your everything, doing. Most times they will still be required by law to give you travel allowance or benefits to come into the country. They may still be the one that will be in charge of your work permit. So you have to understand that it is an investment that many of them may look that they will invest, not even only money, they will also invest time. That, okay, this person, because Canada, you have to understand, even though you have job offer today, you cannot come to Canada tomorrow. It is not possible. You still have to wait for months for them to process your application, for you to go through criminal checks, for you to go through medical checks, for you to go through a lot of things before you are finally allowed into the country. So it is an investment of effort by the employer, of money by the employer, and of time, because they may be looking at the time they will spend on trying to look for or trying to employ you from overseas. They can do the same with other people and quickly get that person started working without spending so much time and lots of resources. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? That does not mean people don't get jobs. They get jobs. And sometimes we have heard people get jobs unlawfully, even though the Canadian Immigration Office does not accept that. But we have seen people, we have heard people paying 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 Canadian dollars for jobs online. Yes, it happens, but the truth is, in fact, it may not even pay you at the end of the day, because, of course, on our LinkedIn channel, we have LinkedIn newsletter article. I've talked about how some people paid for jobs. They came into Canada and they did not see job. Yes, some of those jobs, I've heard that those jobs are just to help you come into Canada. I don't know how that works, but they say those jobs are just to help you come into Canada. When you come into Canada, you are left alone. Do you understand? You are left alone in the fact that the job is not available. It's not that you can go to the company to go and work to be any money. They just help you to come into the country by virtue of that job. And now you are here because you now have a closed work permit. People don't tell you these details. You have a closed work permit by coming into Canada with just a job offer. And a closed work permit doesn't allow you to work legally with another employer. You are just limited to work with that employer. But it's not that same employer now that gave you job offer that you does not even have a company. You understand? Or maybe even have a company but does not have the position to house you, the position to make you work. In fact, I've even heard some crazy news that some people, like Nigerians, or let me say Africans, we like Ifagon, a lot of Ifa. There are some people that are posting it online that, come into Canada, don't worry, when you come into Canada, you'll be paying later on when you come into Canada. There's just a pay registration fee. You say, okay, no problem. You now pay registration fee when you come. When you now even get into Canada, instead of the company that you got job offer to be paying you for you going there to work, they will now be the one that will even be telling you that, okay, come and be remitting some money. Should you have people say, if we help you to come into Canada, you'll be paying. Oh yeah, now go and be working on these cash jobs, unregistered jobs, unlawful jobs. They'll be paying you peanuts. Out of those peanuts, instead of them paying you $12 per hour, they'll pay you maybe like $4. That's even for the one that pays. Some people may even want to work for free. You understand? It is still out of that money that they will not be expecting you to come and be remitting money for them on a monthly basis before you now pay your loan complete. I don't know. Please, that's why at the end of the day, I do tell people the best way to come into Canada is through permanent residence. Whether you like it or not, because that is what will give you peace of mind. When you come into Canada with permanent residence, You can be able to decide if you want to work with 2, 3, 4. See, I've seen some people in this Canada that shift I want to shift them. If that makes sense. Shift I want, because when they came in with the right papers, you understand, they will do morning shift, air money, do evening shift, weekend shift, public holiday shift. You understand, shifting everywhere. Because why? They have the papers, they have the authority to work. So why is it's nobody's business. So far you are willing and you are able to work those jobs, you will get it. But if you came with a paper that just restricts you to work with one employer, and if, for instance, you have an opportunity to get another job, those jobs know that because you don't have the legal papers, they can do you anyhow. The ones that are working shift, they don't burn them well. If you even do overtime in those places, you will collect money for the overtime. But we have heard people, especially some Nigerian employers, that they will say that there was one person that was complaining to us and saying even the Nigerian employer is not even paying him. He say internship. I say, you go. He say unpaid internship, and you can't hold them to it because, or let's say even if you can hold them to it, the case go long. You understand? Because at the end of the day, you yourself. They know that you yourself. Why are you doing something unlawful? Why did you come into Canada and they say you should work for one employer, you don't work for the employer, or they say you are a student, you are doing more than 20. At the end of the day, your own status self may be jeopardized. So then to they know that at the end of the day, the employer, they may just give the person sanction, or what they call it, fine to pay. That okay, pay this fine of 20,000. And let's assume you that you have been working for maybe like a year, that you are meant to have actually earned maybe like about 30 to 40,000. And they now tell the employer to pay a certain fine of 20,000. It will just remove it out of the money and pay. You understand the fine? So at the end of the day, the person that will lose the most is not even the employer, but you. That does not mean we are saying employers should be doing nonsense. But what we are saying is come the right way. When you come the right way, nobody will just do you anyhow. The right way still can take time. Because again, one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that sometimes if you tell people what is on the immigration website, that they say, okay, permanent residence will take 6 months. But me, I now give my own story that, okay, even though it takes 6 months, for me, it still took from 2018 to 2023. People don't want to hear that one again. It is that 6 months that you said they will be holding on to you. That, Shebi, you said 6 months. Is that 6 months? But they will not hear the examples that you gave. That, okay, even though that I even waited so long to come into Canada, it's still much better. Because sometimes you see people in Canada, it's crazy. You see even your own country people begging on the streets, because Canada is not like Nigeria that house rent is per year, it's per month. You understand? It is not like Nigeria that if you don't have the right papers, you go suffer. You understand? So rural community immigration pilot, RCIP, even though it doesn't require higher IELTS score, even though it doesn't require you to do a lot of things like express entry, you still need a job offer. Number one. Number two, Atlantic Immigration Pilot Programs. AI, or Atlantic Immigration Program, is now a program, it's not a pilot again. AIP, it requires 1 year of work experience, CLB or NCLC level 4 or 5, and yes, again, that one to require job offer. It's required, and job offer must be from a designated employer. Some graduates are exempt from the work experience requirements. And again, this is where many people come in, that we tell people, just get into Canada first. Some of the agents will tell you, get into Canada first as a student. It's not that it's wrong. It's not wrong. Some of the advice they will give is not that it's wrong, but you have to understand the implication. If you understand the implication and you know that, you yourself decided to come into Canada this way, you will not be faulting someone that agent did not tell you this. You did not know that. That is where we come. We tell you, be informed. Know the repercussions of what you are doing. Know the effects. Know the pros and cons. Be well informed. You understand? Some graduates that graduate in some Atlantic provinces, they can get to become permanent residents after 1 year of work experience, after they have studied their program, finished, you understand? But what they are trying to say is, at least you first spend money on college or university. You spend money first in their province before they can give. It's not that you come into Canada directly from your own country like we did and become PR. It doesn't work that way. So New Brunswick Express Entry Employment in New Brunswick. Now, this is another one that requires 12 months of full-time work experience, non-seasonal work. You understand that? CLB or NCLC level 7, this one is even higher. And yes, it requires a job offer, and you must be currently working full-time for a New Brunswick employer. This one is even much more stricter. It has much more requirements that many provinces don't. That's why me, I didn't even focus on New Brunswick that time safe because their wala is too much. Now, New Brunswick Express Entry New Brunswick Interest. Now, this is another program that says you must meet the federal express entry requirement. That means you must have an express entry profile before they even consider you, and you have to have CLB or NCLC level 7. This one doesn't require job offer, you understand, but student work experience may count towards the work experience requirements for this particular pathway. Now, the one that selected me, which was the Ontario Express Entry Human Capital Priority Stream. Oh, okay, human capital. The one that selected me was Ontario French Speaker Skilled Worker Program. But for the Human Capital Priority Stream, you must meet work experience requirements of the CEC or the FSWP, either the Canadian Experience Class or the Federal Skilled Worker Program. You must have the CLB or NCLC 7, level 7. You understand? No job offer is required for this, but your work experience must be in the same NOC code as declared in the Express Entry profile, right? Now, Ontario Express Entry Skilled Trades Stream. Now, these skilled trades are not for the professionals, but for people that you understand are skilled in manual labor, like mechanic, electrician, plumber, and things like that. You must have at least 1 year of cumulative paid full-time work experience. CLB or NCLC level 5 is what you require. No job offer is required, but you must be currently residing in Ontario with a valid work status. Now, I want you to understand something in many of these programs, because people see a lot of things online that this one is free, this one does not require this one doesn't require IELTS, this one. Note, many of the programs that doesn't require high LTS, they will require you to have a job offer. Many of the ones that doesn't require job offer, they may say that you must be already residing in Canada. The one that doesn't require you to maybe be in one province, they'll say, okay, be a student, I've spent money in school in one place. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, Canada too, them too, you have to understand, they are wise. Those provinces too are wise. They know that anything that is seemingly easy, people want to rush to it. So they will bring one simple, or it may not even be simple, one complex requirement that will just cause the issue. Okay, Raj Edu was asking, what was your French level when you applied? Oh, great. My whole French level was C1. I had C1 when I applied for Ontario French speaking skilled worker program. I had C1 in all my language skills. C1 in compréhension écrite, expression écrite, compréhension orale, expression orale. And before I had that CLB1, that C1, I have to be frank, I wrote the exam 3 times. You understand? Before I could have that CLBC1 or the NCLC level C1. You understand? I had to write it twice, 3 times. Do you understand? I wrote it 2018, I failed. Or I will not say failed, I had B1 parallel. You understand? I wrote it 2020, the year 2020. I had B1, I think in compréhension orale, B2 in compréhension écrite, and I had C1 in compréhension écrite and expression orale. Do you understand? So it still spoils my results at the end of the day. So later on in the year 2022, sometimes when you write those exams, you'll be wondering, let me just put it. Maybe they will pick me. That's what I was doing. That maybe they will pick me. At the end of the day, they did not pick me. Okay, Mr. Fulana is laughing. It's true. They did not pick me, so it expired, and I had to write it 2022. But before then, I was preparing very well again for the next exam. And with that, I actually reapplied, or I recreated my profile. So Ontario, the last one is the Ontario Rural Economic Development Initiative, the READY, which has that you must meet the work experience requirements for any OIMP, especially the employer job offer stream. You must meet the language requirements for any OIMP. OIMP stands for Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. You understand? And especially for the employer job stream. And yes, you must have a job offer for this one, but you must have a full-time job offer from one of the 4 participating communities, whether Lanark County, Leeds and Greenville, Sarnia, Lambton, or Thunder Bay. Oh, okay. Raj Edu is saying, do you think teaching French in primary level can ameliorate anyone's French? Yes and no. Or one should just focus on learning and passing the exam. Okay. Most times I don't like to tell people or to advise people when I don't know the full details. Do you understand? Knowing the full details will make me really know for sure how to, you understand, suggest what to do. And especially as a French coach that I am, I've seen a lot of types of students. There are some students that can actually go teach French levels, French, what they call it now, French primary levels, and they have good French comprehension, proficiency. So those kind of people, yes, they can, especially those that are from B2 level upward. Do you understand? They have taken maybe like at least the DELF exam, the DELF B2 exam, at least the Diplôme d'études de la langue française exam from France, France Education Internationale. They have at least taken that one. You understand? So those kind of people, yes, they can go teach the primary school and still be preparing simultaneously, because you can't even do French without learning and also passing the exam. You have to learn how to pass the exam. It's not only about even learning French. I've taught some francophones that are from like Benin Republic, Togo, that still fail the exam. You understand? So it's not only about, and most times I do joke with them and I'll tell you then that they speak French more than I do. But me, I'll pass the exam and they will fail. Because it's just like IELTS. We that are Nigerians that speak English normally, when a francophone will tell you that, okay, no, you come and teach you English, you will be laughing at the person now. Abi? But at the end of the day, it is not about only speaking the French, but knowing what they require in the exam. And that is why, for instance, I have my own signature online course on aosacademy.com, where I used to teach even francophones how to learn French to pass the exam. Because at the end of the day, you have to just know these materials, the resources, the techniques, the skills that they need from the exam. That, okay, this is what they are expecting, this is what they need you to do, this is what you would be able to, you understand, use to show that you can speak the exam, the language well. Because at the end of the day, it's just those techniques you need. And that's why we always tell people you don't need to be completely fluent in the language before you can pass. Oh, my battery is low, 2%. Please just give me about 2 minutes. Let me just go to get the charger. Just wait for me, please. I'm coming right now. Okay, sorry about that. I want to charge you because if I don't charge, I'll be off of I think that's TikTok. Yes, I'll be off of TikTok. So it permits me to plug the phone so that I can communicate with you guys well. So what we were saying was we're talking about the French, right? Okay, I think someone was asking the question that about the French, that's the level. So basically what I'm trying to say is you can be teaching French in primary school. I remember I was teaching French in secondary school. I was teaching GSS1 to GSS3, and at the point I started teaching SS. So you can teach French to use to practice the language. Do you understand? But you have to also be learning French, and not only learning French, but preparing for the exams through the use of the language materials, the study past questions, you understand, and things like that. Because that's what will make you know the pattern of the exam. If you are just teaching French, yes, you'll be improving on your French, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be preparing well for your exam. So do both if you are at least in the level B2. If you are not in the level B2 yet, in like maybe DELF exam or things like that, focus on learning French and preparing for the exam simultaneously. All right. So moving on. So pathways only available to French speakers settling outside of Canada. Now, if for instance, you how would I call it now? You speak French, yeah. You speak French and you don't want to focus on, oh, okay, Raj Edu says thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. You don't want to just focus on English route, English programs. You can also focus on French program. Now, we are giving you various pathways you can use to come into Canada, right? Now, the Francophone Community Immigration Pilots, the FCIP, the new program, is another program you can use to come into Canada. This is a temporary program because the pilot, but the required work experience is just 1 year of skilled work experience. The minimum language score is NCLC for the French, NCLC level 5. Do you understand? For the speaking, well, rather for the French proficiency. But here you also need a job offer because anything that is lower than band 7, you see, understand it. Any program that requires you to get a lesser IELTS score, a lesser CELPIP score, PTE score, TEF Canada score, TCF Canada score, it will have something added to it. You understand? Another requirement. So here they require you to have another job offer. A job offer for what? A job offer for the program. And the job offer must be from an approved employer in a participating community. Number one. Number two is the Francophone Minority Student Pilot, which is the TR to PR pathway. This one, not applicable, you don't really need much experience, but NCLC level 5, do you understand, is what is required for this. And look at this, they said no for job offer. You don't need a job offer for it, but they said you must be a citizen of an eligible country. So if you are not in an eligible, and I know Nigeria is not even in an eligible country, so most times you are not going to be, you understand, able to participate in that. It's most of the francophones or the francophiles that are eligible for that. Now, Ontario French Speaking Skilled Worker Program. Yes, this is the program that selected me. Yeah, I remember this was the program that selected me. So here you must meet the work experience requirements for either the CEC, Canadian Experience Class, or the FSWP, which is the Federal Skilled Worker Program. And the one that I qualified for was the Federal Skilled Worker Program, even though I wasn't able to get selected through Express Entry. Now, the French that you required, NCLC level 7, I think that time I had NCLC 8 or 9 that I had then. And the English CLB 6, that CLB, I think I had like CLB 9 that time. But no job offer is required. Because now, see me, why did I focus on the program that I was talking about before? I focused on them because they didn't require job offer. I remember when I was coming to Canada and I spoke to one travel person that shared me with Canada that time, when we were still novice now, 2018 that time. That was saying, as I then I was saying I was gonna be 2.5. I said 2.5. 2.5 M. When they will help me do job, they will help me. Where I get that money. I not do it. But you must have legal status in Canada if you are applying from within Canada under the Ontario French Speaking Skilled Worker Program, or if you're applying outside of Canada, you don't need it. You don't need the status in Canada, just like I did. I didn't have the status in Canada and I applied and I got it. So note, the above table and corresponding sections only consider provincial nominee program streams from New Brunswick and Ontario to narrow down the likeliest streams to yield success for PEQ applicants. That's the Quebec Experience Program applicant. You have to understand something. You know, many people will say, why am I focused on Express Entry, provincial nominee programs and things like this? Because they have the likeliest you understand, probability of you becoming. These are programs that have been here for decades. They have been, you understand, they have been successful basically in bringing permanent residents to Canada. So if you also are willing, if you also don't just find excuse not to do it, not to become eligible or not to work towards your eligibility, it will work for you too. It may take time, but it will work. Do you understand? Now, both these provinces border Quebec, New Brunswick, being Canada's only officially bilingual province, while Ontario has the highest immigrant nomination allocation of any province in Canada. Both provinces feature express entry aligned streams as well. So the province of Quebec and New Brunswick are also very good. If you don't want to go to Quebec, New Brunswick is another province that you can actually look into for French, basically. And if you want to come to Ontario, Ontario still needs people because Ontario is hot cake. Oh. If you have the French requirements like that NCLC 7, even if you are 40 years of age, 50 years of age, you can still qualify. They can still pick you. Do you understand? And if it's not Ontario, even other provinces, Saskatchewan that I did not mention, they will still pick you. Presented that there are still some provinces that will pick you. Do you understand? Now, Quebec-based option. They are telling you that skilled worker selection program, the PSTQ we took earlier, at the same press conference where the pause on the PEQ was announced, the Quebec Experience Program was announced, the minister Roberge also proclaimed the resumption of Quebec's skilled worker selection program, PSTQ, in July of this year, which is it is this year, this month. It has, like this month, we're expecting them to start selecting people through this skilled worker selection program. Someone was asking me, one of our clients, that, oh, the PS, now for the Quebec program, once you create a profile under Quebec, it takes about 1 year before it expires. Do you understand? Just like the express entry. And this particular client, I've had their profile, it has expired, and they want to create a new one. And I told them, okay, now we have a new program. We have a new edited program. Instead of the Quebec regular skilled worker program, we now have the Quebec skilled worker selection program. The selection program doesn't just require your husband to just have the French, you understand, results. You, the spouse, also have to have French proficiency. You understand? So how can you work on your own French proficiency now? You too, you have to learn French. You have to prepare for exam. You have to go and write it. You don't need the points that your husband have. If you have it, better. If you even have above it, best. Do you understand? But you can still have a good result and still be able to qualify together with your husband if you are fast with it, if his own exam result does not quickly expire. You understand? So the PSTQ is Quebec's equivalent to the Federal Skilled Worker Program, FSWP, and it allows qualified foreign nationals an avenue to obtain permanent residency in Quebec. Now, Quebec issues invitations to apply for Quebec Selection Certificates, which is the Certificat de Sélection du Québec, under the PSTQ through the ARIMA Expression of Interest system, which the province uses to invite top-ranking, you understand, candidates. This thing is still long. So what they are just trying to say, because, okay, it's long ago. I don't think I'll be able to take this. I'm already tired. I think you know the basic thing already. I cannot take all this. I know that it's as long as this one. I've already used more than 1 hour already. So I think I'll call it a day. I'm even tired already. I'm already tasty. I'm famished. So basically, I think we have seen the basic thing. The basic things, or the basic things I wanted us to talk about were the programs, because I think they are just now explaining each of the programs one by one, and you can always go on the website and talk to us about the selection and everything. But you can go on the website yourself to also look at each of the eligibility of each of the programs. But I think they have summarized, they have done a beautiful summary for us on the table. The table has actually summarized everything I believe they will be talking about there. So if you have any questions before we go, please ask your questions right now. You understand, on the comment section. Let's see if we have any questions from people that actually joined us. And if you don't have any questions, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to also join us every week. At least we come on live to have at least one conversation, one live session with our, you understand, audience on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. For our clients as well, we always come on every weekend to also share trending topics. And to, if you have any questions about immigration, this is the time to ask. You understand? And even after this, you can always drop your questions on our comments. You can drop your clarifications on our DMs. We would do justice to responding to that, to them as we see them. For those who want to book consultations, you can book consultations by also sending a DM or going on our link, going on our website, aos.nim.ng, or you can just, you understand, go on the profile on our bio and click on the link there to get linked up to our what? To get linked up to us. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. If we don't have any questions, then we'll call it a day. Do have a nice day ahead. Bye for now, everyone. Au revoir.